let's dive deeper into the concept of survey research. And we start that with data gathering. Data gathering is a big deal. And it's really information that's collected for the first time, especially you want to look at two different types. The primary data is the stuff that you work for yourself on this specific project. You don't use the internet, you don't use other types of surveys. You develop something exactly for this project over here. The most commonly used basis is called a focus group. We've already talked about that, but I don't want to belabor it except for the fact that the focus group is really, really helpful. You get people that are potential consumers of your service or your product, and you ask them questions about it, and then you come back later on with a different group, with a different set of questions, and another one. If you do it 3 different iterations with 3 different groups, you're going to have some really good primary data, but it takes time, and you can't do it just like that. So the advantages are it's specific to the research, it's current, you know who you're dealing with, and you can pretty much maintain the secrecy of what you're about to do. So the disadvantages, it's expensive and it takes time. Okay, the disadvantages also are offset though really a lot of times with the primary data. I encourage you to pursue this aspect if you're starting a small business. Do this before, check it out. There's a lot of secondary data out there. You can get all kinds of stuff from who owns what license and all that other things and gather that up and find out who the professionals are. But this really is a good way of doing it. So when you collect the data, you can do it different ways. Face-to-face really can be computer aided. That can help an awful lot. Telephone can be computer aided, mail, hand delivery, email and web. But there's a reality out there. There's a lot of nastiness out there. At any time you see anything on the web, if you dare click on a survey, you really need to sit down and probably buy yourself a new computer nowadays. There literally are 3 different countries out there that have a portion of their military that are out there involved in cyber warfare on a regular basis, trying to loot banks, trying to attack different aspects of the United States in that, and including you as a consumer. Be cautious about being that person that's going to expect people to go click and I'm going to respond to the survey. You really have to sit down and pay attention to the reality is that almost every single email out there has the potential for launching a Trojan horse inside of your computer and damaging your data and stealing your data. Be careful about clicking anything. And on the other hand, if you're the researcher and you think you're going to use that aspect of it, you need to go pay attention to what the world is like today. Some of this stuff, be careful. Do not expect them to click. Keep all the information right there on the same screen and let them respond that way. Face-to-face, over the phone, labor-intensive and costly. Mailing out is costly. The response rate can be low, but sometimes it depends on what you're touting on the mail. Do not rule out mail. I got to tell you, I don't know about you, but when it comes down to something simple on a regular basis, it seems like the bed and mattress industry, they use direct mailing. Now, the reality of you and me is that us as consumers, we don't buy a mattress every year. You buy one about every 7 to 10 years. You buy a new set. Well, the truth be told, nobody knows when you're going to buy that bed or mattress. And you just all of a sudden spur, boom, I want to buy one. So all of a sudden now, within a 2-week period, you're in a market looking for it. If they time it right and they hit your mailbox with a promotional flyer within that 2 week period, that all of a sudden you decide to get interested in beds and mattresses, boom, they hit it. That is a much more effective campaign than blasting spam at you all the time on the internet, whether it's messaging, whether it's email, whether it's on different aspects, different apps. It's very effective in that moment. So do not rule out mailing. It just depends how you're doing it and who your consumers are. So if you're going to collect it over the phone, over the internet, it can be cost effective. And sometimes, in some cases, it's free. Web surveys are fast. A major plus about the speed. The face-to-face and mail surveys often take weeks to collect. Surveyors, observers, they have to be trained to avoid the disparity sometimes. So if you have somebody out there that's going to be calling people, pay attention, train them properly, let them know what you're looking for without poisoning the actual data itself. Foreign countries have special challenges. This is the United States. Our culture is dramatically different than you would find in India, than you would find in Africa, than you would find in Europe, than you would find in South America. If you're going to be looking on those other areas, you may want to employ somebody who is familiar with all the social customs, because that is going to have an impact as to whether or not they're going to respond back to you, and sometimes how they respond to you. So pay attention to that. Face-to-face surveys are very common in third countries because sometimes people don't have phones or computers. In the United States, 92% of our entire population has a smartphone, and 97% have some type of phone no matter what. We're only looking at about 3% of the entire population of the country without a phone. But that said, it is not the same around planet Earth. So you have to, that's part of the issue, part of it is cultural, part is how they'll respond. So translating surveys is an issue. You have to make certain that when you get the response, you're going to translate it back into data. That's a big thing. The data gathering, okay, primary data is best but expensive. The internet's fast, easy, and losing relevance with hackers. And global research has a different demographic approach. These are the beginnings of data gathering. Take care.